Hello everyone, welcome to the FOGS Queenslander Podcast as we review a great series win, 2-1 for Queensland over New South Wales, 24-12 in game number 3. And I've got three very happy FOGs with me, Wally Lewis, Trevor Gillmeister and Matt Gillett. And gentlemen, you just can't take the smile off your face.
Oh, how good is it to wake up this morning?
That's the whole of Queensland.
Well, you were both down there. What was the feeling like down there?
Yeah, we were down in cockroach country, and it was remarkably quiet.
Oh, very well.
Going around to the breakfast and being in a conversation with people that I was yesterday, and they were all cocky, all smiles, all laughing, and I said, "How you going?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, okay." And I said, "Didn't get that, mate. Actually, how you going?" And he said, "Oh, better than the Blues are, better than the Blues." And I thought, "Oh well," I said, "You win some, you lose some." There's the old statement coming out, but wonderful performance. Can't say how proud I am of the guys and the coaching team as well, who have certainly made some subtle changes that have become very impressive and very effective on New South Wales.
Is it as close to a perfect performance as you can get at Origin level?
Oh.
They didn't make their first mistake until near the 70th minute.
92%. So
I mean,
very high.
But we got to face facts. We were ordering game one, weren't we? You know what I mean? Like, and obviously the first half and game two, a lot better. And we still fluffed up a little bit in that second half of the second game. But that was, complete, like, not domination, but a complete performance by our blokes. And I think even the coaching staff learnt a lot from, obviously game 1 and game 2. I think some of the changes, the interchanges were a little bit better. And, obviously Lindsay Collins and Paddy Carrigan come on, and they went up a gear. The whole, and Big Papa, and they did a great job in the first 15 minutes or 17 minutes, whatever he played. But the rest of them contributed. But when Lindsay Collins and Paddy come on too as well, it kicked up another gear. And that's,
the speed
as
of
a
the
coach,
game.
that's what you want,
that's
don't
what
you?
they're there for.
Yeah.
And no doubt the coach would have said, we need you to increase the speed of the game. We've got to, put the pressure on New South Wales, and it really was quite effective almost immediately.
But you said it beforehand. We were kicking earlier as well too, weren't we? We did exactly what you said.
Yep.
Must have been listening.
And kick early, you always surprise the opposition because there's that effect of controlling the ball, and they probably thought they half a chance of dropping the ball in our good defence here. But we kicked earlier, and it put them on the back foot. And you could see them sprinting up to put pressure on the ball carrier. All of a sudden, they had the handbrake on, doing a U-turn, back they were going, and a number of times, it was about 15, maybe 20 metres out from the line, they were starting to carry. And I thought that's the style of footy we need to play, to put the pressure on them. And it doesn't have to be enormous pressure, but the ones that they know that we can't afford to turn the ball over here. If we do, they're going to get it.
And
30 metres
Harry
out.
kicked a bit more from dummy half as well.
And ran a bit more.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful performance.
When you were down there watching Gillo, I never felt that. Well, they were under pressure, Queensland, obviously, because it's Origin. Yeah. But I never felt that New South Wales was threatening, if that makes sense. So I just thought Queensland's defence, even though there were a few missed tackles, New South Wales never really looked like they were threatening Queensland's goal line.
Yeah, from game 1, 2 and 3, I think they tidied up their defence, and what decisions they were making out on the edge, they were all just doing that together. Yeah. Whereas in those first couple of games, centre was jamming, the winger was going out, they weren't on that sort of same page. So you could definitely see that last night, being there, seeing the broader picture of the game, you could actually see that they're getting their line speed up, and then whatever decision they were making, it was together. It wasn't one individual trying to solve it themselves, and that really showed. And
Val led the way there.
Val
didn't
led
he?
the way.
Yeah.
Put that big shot on and set the tempo, and it seemed like they had a bit of a game plan there with our ruckies, our forwards. Whoever would take that first hit up would generally have that tackle 4 as well, and so they're having those sort of 2 hit ups in the set. Yeah. And not having a kick chase, but then drawing the line on tackle 2 and saving the energy there. And our back 5 did a terrific job of coming out of trouble, carrying tough, which was good. Val Holmes speed around that ruck, and it was impressive. But I think we had a bad player on including And I only got about 5 minutes.
Outstanding for his 5 minutes.
But
I thought if he'd been forgotten about the poor bloke.
Bit of a grinding game.
He still gets paid.
Yeah. But, that performance in Game 2 from Cam Munster, his first game at captain wearing the famous number 6, the pressure on, he stood up. Second game wearing the number 7 for Tommy Dearden. Jonathan Thurston looking on, Cooper Cronk, Alfie Langer, they would have been so proud of his performance. Wallen, you must have been very proud to present the Wally Lewis medal to him.
Yeah, it was a real thrill and an honour, and I don't think there would have been anybody that argued him being selected. So it was fantastic. But boy, I got to say that emotion plays an enormous part in State of Origin, and when I was down there waiting for the presentation to take place. The thrill that you get out of watching your teammates, and we've been done there, and you probably think your teammate 20 times. You go around, you're patting him on the back, but you could just see the thrill, the excitement that these guys had. They knew what they'd achieved, which was a remarkable challenge previously, and they probably will be waking up by the time that they get home and spending it in very casual circumstances and surroundings. They'll think back, and this will go down as the greatest game of their lifetime.
Yes.
Did you know he got it beforehand, or they announced it when?
No, I didn't know
no, okay.
Who'd got it, but I think it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
He'd got the shot. So anyway, I just go down and hand it over, and just saw the excitement on his face.
Who picks that now?
He was over the moon.
It used to be the
selectors.
Yeah. The Aussie selectors.
He was terrific in attack, but it was his defence. Not only that try saver on Byron To'o, he was one of 5 Queenslanders in another try saver on the goal line. But he was hitting the bigger, those edge forwards, ball and all, one-on-one, defending on the side of defence without blinking an eye.
He's a great defender.
Yeah.
He always has been, but I think he's even proved he's got a bit stronger, bigger, and obviously that another one that sticks in my mind, and even though they scored, Lindsay Collins was chasing in the corner, like
the Crichton's try.
Yeah, exactly right, mate.
He's always going to get there, Crichton.
Yeah, but he could have been there to knock his arm or something like that. It could have been a crucial part of the game.
Yeah. Mate, I want to bring up one point, and I can guarantee it'll be the first time, and it'll probably be the last time that I ever do. The referee, he kept the game open. There were some times where I was starting to blow up. I was watching how far he had them standing back every tackle.
You can't see on TV.
It was 12 to 15 metres. There were times where I had to look at it and it'd say it'd be 2 or 3 metres short of halfway, and he had the players standing back on the 10-yard line. And what it did though was it opened up and produced a wonderfully open attacking game that made it even more exciting for people. And he probably wasn't the players' best friend, because they were struggling in the speed of the game to be able to get back that distance and then turn around and go. But I thought Ashley Kine did a great job with there, and when you've got the finest players in the game on show, and you make sure that the players, the attacking, the wonderful attacking players aren't restricted in what they can do, you're promised a great game.
Well, he needs to do that more often.
Why didn't he do that from game 1?
Well,
but it was a lot better to watch.
100% right.
No 60 goes in that first half.
And there were times where our guys were. We were struggling to get off the ground, when they were on the attack. So it went both ways. There's no doubt about that.
Did anybody see 20-0 at halftime coming?
No.
I mean, you talk about how quiet the New South Wales crowd. Where I was calling the game off a big screen at a pub here in Brisbane.
They're going off.
No, I think everyone was stunned at half time. It was 20-0. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think Queenslanders couldn't even believe that Queensland was up 20-0. It was a masterful performance. I think potentially better than the first half in Game 2, because New South Wales were most probably a bit better in Game 3.
Well, maybe New South Wales thought, we were rolling over the top of them.
We'll just keep going.
Exactly. We'll just take off where we left from Game 2. Yeah. And maybe that was their mindset. And we know that's never going to be the case all the time. So, I mean, maybe that was their you can't get inside someone's head and go, well, mate, you need to, focus on this or that. So, I mean, interesting though.
Yeah, I just thought 20-0 with the way they played was remarkable. And that first 20 minutes of the second half, New South Wales, to hold them scoreless and literally, win the game in that 20 minutes after.
Well, it was great to see Harry Grant's try, wasn't it? Just before half time, that was a really good boost
the way
for our
he scored
blokes, wasn't it? Yeah. Bumped four blokes off four forwards as well.
Well, we've spoken about the players, and we'll get back to more of the players soon. But Wally, you alluded to the decisions that were made. Is it fair to even argue that some of the most important decisions or moments for Queensland winning the series came at the selection table heading into game number 2?
Yeah, certainly. We've only got to go back to how the media accepted it and the discussions that immediately took place. And I got to admit, I was sort of sitting there thinking, wow, they're taking some big chances here. But have a look at the performance that were put in by those players that were under question by some, and you think, why weren't they there? From the early games, but I thought the guys that went in there and their position was questioned were the finest performance of the night. They were fantastic, and the way that they produced, they've been playing NRL football, club football, which is a wonderful standard. But you get up to that next level of state of origin, and often it's the better players that handle that one. They don't go all that well as well in the club game, but when you find that it's the best playing the best, the standard of the game just goes through the roof, and they were the fine performers on the evening.
Well, I think all of us were a little bit taken aback when Daly got the punt. You know what I mean? And because he wasn't the only one, because there was about 8 or 9. We that was a pretty poor performance for our standards in game 1. They're obviously went up a gear, the second game and the third game. So honestly, you've got to take your hat off to Billy Slater and the selectors and obviously the coaching staff, because I think they've got their, especially after the first game, the second game they've got a little bit more with their interchange as well.
Learn more.
Learn a lot more. And coming into the third game, obviously Big Puppet coming in there was a great move. But I think the third game, obviously, that was the telling factor. They go righto, and their interchange was spot on. Everything apart. Sorry about that was fantastic. Their interchange, I thought.
I admire Billy on obviously his discussions with the selectors. Probably helped 1 or 2 players into the side, which were a little bit of a surprise, and that's courage. When you're in and you're playing at the best competition in the world,
and no second chance.
There you go. And it hadn't worked for them, but there wasn't one of those guys. And I got these all over the arms again. There wasn't one of those guys that did not perform to the best of their abilities, and I can guarantee you they're going to be in the Origin side for years to come now. And
I think it was at least a 7, 8 out of 10 for the lowest blokes.
Yeah, it was.
I was about being harsh too.
Exactly.
There was a little halfback there that had a fair game on the night. Boy, can he play! And he's got a. He reminds me so much, without pissing in your pocket, of Trevor Gillmeister. How tough, how physical, confrontational he is, but he still has the ability to be able to create opportunities for those outside him and around him, and that's his finest performance. And I got the chance to speak to him after the game, and he said, "That's it." He said, "I'm finally happy." He certainly deserved to be so.
Well, he set a new benchmark in that respect in his performance as well.
He's really matured over time, old Tommy did, and I was lucky enough to be there at the Bronx when he first started, and we used to enjoy a few drinks after wins, and he used to drink the old cruisers and a little lolly water. But now last night I seen him drinking a beer, so he's really grown up and he's into that Queensland spirit, drinking beer now. It's great.
Just you mentioned the Queensland spirit, and I was lucky enough to be in the sheds after it, and and the yippee yippie was on, and Alan Langer leading it.
So I thought I saw him sitting in the corner.
I don't believe that.
Oh boy, and the thrill that provides for everyone that was in there, it was something else. And after a little bit of disappointment in recent years, the Queensland guys, we've at different times throughout different games. They were hot in that game, and everything that they were attempting to construct as a team in their game plan, it was extremely successful.
Can I also bring up another couple of changes that were made, because a lot of was mentioned about Daly Cherry Evans and Tom Dearden Gillett was unbelievable on debut, but no, for Gillo and Gilly. I thought Trent Liero,
that's
a debut series to start. I question, internally, but Carrigan back to the bench for Trent Liero and Kurt Capel as Kurt Capel's best past him. I thought those were just as important. Those changes of putting Trent Liero at lock, Carrigan back to the bench, his impact, and Kurt Capel's experience and strength on the edge. I thought that was just as important, those changes as well.
100%. I think, Trent obviously shown down there. He's moved from the back row into the middle in recent times at the Storm, and he's really owned that position down there. And he's a big body. He's tall. He's a bit like Isaiah Yeo, but he knows when to carry tough and do his job, and he did it well last night. Debut series, and we remember when Paddy Carrigan received the Wally Lewis medal, he was playing off the bench that time. So it just shows you how much impact that he does, and then what he can bring to the team as well. But for Trent's first Origin series, I think many to come now.
And with the coach being a Melbourne boy, getting the chance to see him up close and personal on a couple of occasions, he's obviously seen him on a few more opportunities than we've got to experience. But Billy said he had no chance. No doubt in his mind. He said he knew he had it in him. And he just had to get the opportunity, and he was fantastic.
I too, not because he's Melbourne. I'm a Harry Grant fan, as well. And Reuben Cotter, I thought his defence was absolutely outstanding. Reuben Cotter, and
Reuben plays in the middle for
100% what he does.
For,
exactly right.
In a big game.
And I was lucky enough to talk to a couple of them up there last week, and I said to him, we got to stop Yowie. He's the go-to man. He's the alpha male amongst. He's the captain. And because Harry's played with him and Reuben and the Australian side as well. They went, you're right, 100% right. So I said, hit him in the thighs. You've got to keep hitting him in the thighs and make him get up all the time. You know what I mean?
And Mark, emotion plays a big part in every game, but the coach. At the end of, I've never seen Billy like that. He's been happy on occasions before, but oh wow, the emotion, he was bawling his eyes out.
And I think this series has taken a bit of a toll on him. It's been, with the comments during game 2, etc., the passing of Stephen Munster, it's been an extraordinary series for Billy in that respect, and to win under those circumstances, I think it's taken its toll.
I mean, it's. As Wally
been
said,
harder for him this year than last year.
And Wally said it before, that the emotion that comes into Origin to play as well. And after the series, you think about your first series you ever played, you go back to your club and you just go, oh, holy moly, that's and it takes a little bit to get yourself going again after if you're lucky enough to win the series as well. Yep. You go, you're up to that standard, which is really good. So that gives you confidence. But emotionally, as Wally just said before, you've got to get yourself back up to that level again for club footy.
Particularly those teams that are battling to get into that top 8 as well. I mentioned Gemat Shibasaki, another debutant that proved that the selectors were right. He missed a one-on-one tackle, I think, in the first 5 minutes on Stephen Crichton, and I was thinking, it
doesn't get in his head.
It didn't at all. At all.
I think,
Well, he just seemed twice as determined to make sure his next one was one to remember. And another wonderful performer. Yeah, terrific.
Carrying that ball strongly out of our end, and that's what you need from the outside backs. He's a big body. He defended pretty well. Obviously, he had that early miss, but outside of that, you could see out there, he started to cramp a little bit towards the back end of the game, and he's definitely built for Origin, and he earned it, and he showed why he got picked, and he was in that team. It was outstanding to watch, and he's a young kid, but he's not too young now, but he's very very much earned that spot. And between like him and Rob Toya, Rob's 20 years old, and he's
21st century Ben Icon, I'm going to call him, because he played 7 NRL games, and last night he looked like he'd been there forever.
3 Origins, so it's incredible that our outside backs. I think they obviously our forwards dominate through there, but you've got to give outside backs credit sometimes. So they carry it tough, and that's what we needed.
Still a young side when you look at it. You mentioned Rob Toya, and you've got the Hammer there at fullback, and Tom Dearden's a young man,
Hammer
Harry Grant's young, etc. So dare we say that the last year might have been a bit of a blip, and the rebuilding is already taken place, and there's the core there of quality players in key positions that can take Queensland ahead for another few years.
Don't put the mock on them, Mark. Oh, sorry, come on, mate.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
They do things differently as well. I was watching the Hammer there. There were a couple of times, and when you've got the opposition sort of they're on the attack and they're sitting about here, and I was looking in behind, and as the ball's getting played, thinking which player are they going to come up with, and I'm thinking there's no fullback there. There's no fullback, and Hammer had been standing just on the blind side. I thought, what are you doing on the blind side? The next thing, they started to shift the ball to the left-hand side, and he got the V8 started. How quick is he? And he just raced across, and there were a couple of times he got to make a tackle on 2 or 3 occasions, and on another couple he got across to be able to pick up the ball when it was kicked into a dangerous position. And I thought, well, that's covering.
And you want to say, told you so, but he's a fullback for me.
Yeah.
He's not a centre.
Because he can go wherever he likes.
Exactly
as a fullback, he can go wherever he wants.
And he's got no choice to be involved.
And it's been proven. It's been proven, because a stat for you guys, that he's the first player in the history of Origin to have started in 3 different positions in one series. So he starts centre, wing and fullback. So we've seen him at the 3 positions he can play in Origin. And I don't think there was any doubt last night.
But see, blokes like GI and through Gillo when he was playing, like they were interchangeable. Dari should play in the wing. He's won a golden boot for playing over the season as well. But those blokes they're freaks. Yeah, they can do that. But I think you need the Hammer just sitting back there and going anyway, and the opposition go every time he catches that ball. A couple of times there, I thought
I was waiting for him.
Just to
open up.
Exactly right. And so he needs to be fullback.
Yeah, and quite often we've discussed, or it's been discussed, about Queensland not having as many players to choose as New South Wales. A bit of a myth now, isn't it? When you can throw in a Gemma Chibasaki, etc. And it doesn't matter. It might not be, on the surface, the class player, but New South Wales has selected quality players who haven't aimed up at Origin. Queensland select players that aim up at Origin. Is that a fair comment, or you're trying to hang on to the...
No, I know where you're coming from, because obviously now the Cowboys, have been in there for quite a few years now, and obviously the Titans as well, and they're not just coming, they're trying to produce their own players as well. So a lot of Queenslanders are coming through the ranks now as well, and obviously the under-19s and the during the Origin as well. That's a really good stepping stone for our young blokes. So but I still like to see a few more, couple of good front rowers. I think we're still a little bit light on in front row, because and Big Josh, you just been Papa.
Papa had to come back.
And did a magnificent job. But I'd like to see a couple of front rowers come through.
You caught up with your 1980 mates last night, Wal?
Yeah, there was a few of them on there, and we're all sort of in different areas at one stage. But to see some of them, it was fantastic. A trip down memory lane, 45 years. That's something else, and it was fantastic to catch up with them. I caught up with Normie Carr, who was the guy that I was I used to love watching him as the lock Norm when I was a lock forward in my earlier days, and it was
So he made the
fantastic
news this morning with his interview with Darren Lockie.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Go and look at it, Gilly. Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
He had a couple.
It might have been beeped out.
He let it a few.
Good on him.
He'd had a couple.
Lockie was trying to interview Xavier Coates.
And he chimed in.
Norm was talking to Xavier.
Oh,
and Lockie
sorry,
butted in,
Oh,
which was rude of Lockie.
Exactly right. Yeah. What do you expect? I didn't see that.
So yeah, they'd had a bit of a head start, the boys. So
Okay. Yeah.
well before the official part of the evening came. So.
Well, gentlemen, to wrap up another series and another series win, I know they're all different, and I know it's like choosing your favourite children, but where does this and you know, being fresh, you tend to exaggerate, etc. But where does this particular series win in your minds rate? It's got to be amongst the top 5 at least, doesn't it? The way the side has come back from that first game and everything that's been happening around.
Hard to rank them, isn't it?
It is. I understand the way it is.
Yeah, series win. I suppose we obviously lose in Brisbane, which you know, this is our home turf. You set yourself for that first game, and then Perth, our record was not great over there, and we show up and win, and then going down to Sydney, everyone backs against us, and you know, it's no one gives us a chance really. So.
Yeah. And it's hard to make a judgment. Sorry,
it is.
It's hard to make a judgment on
that,
is it better than the team that had 8 straight? And I used to think that there were other teams. Like I was lucky enough to play in some of those teams, but on occasion there were finer performances that I saw from a team at a different year that were quite exceptional, and you were just wishing that you were part of that team and out there and. To be able to do it, but
I always remember you saying to me ages ago that '89 was one of your favourite series because we were busted. And
game turned on in '89. It's still my favourite game for the guts, glory and determination the players faced to finish a State of Origin game with 12 men. That'll never be done again. That'll never ever be done again. And to see the blokes, and the greatest thrill for me was being in the dressing room after that game, and we went to do a bit of a song celebration. They were too tired. The blokes could not get off the ground, and to finish a game. But I know you've got the same thought on it. To finish a game against New South Wales and say, we only needed 12 men. That's all we had. That was something else. But we all, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of us all by saying we feel very thrilled to represent Queensland. It was the greatest day for each and every one of us in our careers. But we owe plenty to our parents, our coaches, and the fans that turn up to watch us play each and every year.
Well, I always say, sorry to jump in, Mark, but I always say, people say, what's the most significant Origin game? Well, it has to be the first game, to be honest, because if we didn't win, New South Wales would have said, we told you so, you can't win with your own players, and it would have been scrapped.
Yeah, we won't play these games anymore.
No, it would have been scrapped. Yeah. So I think obviously that's getting a bit,
No, I totally understand what you're saying. So can we all agree, though, it's the best series win for Queensland since 2023?
Oh, yeah.
So any series win is a great series win. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
So we agree with that. Any series win's a great.
And
series
I know the boys from the '95 series were very stoked to have the boys had it on their jersey, 1995 and stuff like that. So they were very wrapped in that too as well.
And I'm sure that everyone in Queensland is very proud of the players that represented Queensland, not just last night, but in every match in this 2025 series that was won once again by Queensland. So Origin is finished for another year. We have to wait 12 months for the next series, but you don't have to wait 12 months for the next podcast. We've got plenty of great interviews, including a couple, or at least one former member of Wally's 1980 side, coming up on our FOGS Queenslander podcast. Alan Smith will be a guest soon. So too Brian Niebling, and we've got Anthony Milford coming up. So stay tuned for all of those. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe, click the like button, and you'll be able to catch up with all our videos on the FOGS Queenslander podcast. So on behalf of Wally Lewis, Trevor Gillmeister, Matt Gillett, I'm Mark Braybrook. Congratulations to all those players in the 2025 Queensland Origin Series. It's goodbye for now. Thanks for watching this episode of the FOGS Queenslander podcast. If there's a FOG you want to hear from, leave a comment to let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos.